everybody, it's Carrie at Tigerfly Soap Company. You know I'm always liking to try something new. I had a bunch of African black soap sitting around. I chunked it up into small chunks and we're going to make some liquid African black soap today. And I've never done this before, so bear with me. So you start out with 2 pounds of chunked up African black soap. Then we are going to add in 1 ounce of glycerin. Let me measure it out. Okay, so here's our glycerin going in. And then, now you can opt to use water or aloe vera juice. Make sure you're not using the gel. Make sure you are using juice. They're 2 separate things. I'm going to add 32 ounces. If I can get it open, because my hands are slippery. There we go. There's 16. We're going to add another 16. Okay, so there's our 32 ounces of aloe vera juice. Now, what we're going to do is turn this on to low. And I'm just going to kind of stir it in there a little bit. So we've got it on low. Now, we're going to put the lid on it and we're going to let this sit for 5 to 6 hours. So I'm going to put the lid on and I'll bring you guys back when we're ready for the next part. Okay, so at this point it's been 4 hours and it's pretty much liquid. There's a little bit of chunkiness in there. I'm going to go in and just try to blend a little of it. Definitely getting there. Give it a stir. Yeah, this is definitely not going to need 6 hours. The recipe says 5 to 6. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm just about there now. I'm going to give it just a little bit more time. And then I'll give it its last stick blend. The only chunk that's in there at this point is the little chunk that's stuck to my spoon. So I'm going to put the lid on and let it cook for probably only about maybe a half an hour, 20 minutes to a half an hour longer. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it its last stick blend. It's the liquid part is really, really runny, like water runny. So I'm going to get my xantham gum in there. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of xantham gum to 1 cup of aloe juice. And then I'm going to stick blend it into this to thicken it up and see what happens. Put that in there. Okay guys, I'll bring you back in a few. Okay, so here we are. And I haven't added anything to it, but it's actually, within the last 15 minutes, kind of thickened up a good bit on its own. It's actually a really nice liquid soap consistency. So I think I'm not going to do the xanthan gum. See that? It's got a really nice liquid consistency there. So I am thinking we don't need the xanthan gum. I'm going to just give it a little bit more stick blending, and then I'm going to let it cool. I may, I'm trying to decide, I may add another little bit of aloe juice just to thin it down slightly, because it might, instead of being too thin, it might be getting too thick. I know we've cooked a lot of our liquid out of it, so I think I'm going to add just a little more in. Not much. And then I'm going to give it another stir. So hang on here. Get a cup of aloe. Didn't take much to loosen it up a lot. I would say to add in more aloe, I would use under just like 1 ounce. I just put in like 4 or 5. that's nice. Okay, I'm gonna scrape my side again. Make sure we get all that in there. I just turned it off, so it's no longer getting any more heat. And since I thinned it out a little more than I wanted to, I am going to do the xantham gum. Turn to frothy. Thickening it up. And this is going to be going into pump bottles, so that's why we don't want it overly thick. I don't want it to be water, but I also don't want it to be too thick. We've got to have that happy medium. And that will thicken up slightly too as it cools. So I'm not going to do anything else to it. I'm going to leave it as is. Man, that's pretty. Pretty. So we're going to leave it the way it is, and then we're going to let it come down to room temp. And then we're going to add in 1% of the total weight. I'm going to pour it off and weigh it. And 1% of that total weight, I'm going to add Optiphen Plus. That is my preservative. You can use whatever preservative you choose. And then I will put in a tiny little bit. I'm going to use a little bit of lavender essential oil, not much, just a pipette or two. And then we're going to get it bottled. So I will bring you guys back for that part as well. Okay, so it has cooled down enough now for us to add in our optiphen. You can see there's like a little film on top, but that's supposed to just melt or stick blend back into it. And if not, I'll skim that off the top before I pour it if it comes back. So let's see here. Let's get our 1% of optiphen in here. And I weighed it. We were at 62 ounces, so now we're going to add our preservative. are on the preservative. Now I'm going to add in, let's see, 4 to 6 milliliters. Let's see here. I think I'm just going to add 4 milliliters of lavender essential oil. Okay, I'm going to move my scale. This looks good, and I like the consistency. I really like the consistency. It's thin, but not water thin. It's going to come out of the pump bottles really nicely. And I'm going to let it cool just a slight little bit more. We're almost at room temp, but I don't want to pour it into the bottles until it's completely cooled, because I don't want to get any heat frosting on the bottles, or whatever you want to call it. I'm having a brain freeze. Oh man, this looks so good. And it just lightly smells of lavender. I didn't want it to be overly powerful. I just wanted a hint of it in there. Oh, that looks good, guys. That looks really good. And I'm just going to wait a couple minutes and get it into the bottles. Thanks for hanging out with me today. This is a long process, but it's one that you walk away from and come back to. You don't have to babysit it. So it really didn't feel like, you know, that much work. And I'm really excited to try this. I'm really excited for my customers to try it. I hope you guys like it if you try it too.